Archetypes are a concept introduced by Carl Gustav Jung in his works, and are an integral part of Jungian psychology. Jung describes archetypes as typical attitudes, ways of behaving, and ideal forms and drives that must constitute the typically instinctive behavior of humanity. Ideas constantly present in the human mind throughout history. These ideas can be manifested in multiple ways, especially in art's many forms. In this series, we take a look at how these archetypes are represented in video games. Welcome to the Game Archetype Library. The Superhuman has abilities that exceed the common human limitations, achieving this with the help of some enhancement that comes from a variety of sources, ranging from the futuristic such as technology, cybernetics or bioengineering, to the mystic such as ritual, supernatural powers and or spirituality. That is, the literal power of God and enemy on their side. The Superhuman archetype is based on multiple ideas that suggest the possibility of humanity achieving more than it has so far, by finding a method to transcend their limitations. Nietzsche famously coined the term Übermensch in his work Also sprach Zarathustra, in which the philosopher expresses ideas of how humanity could reach perfection with individual and social improvements. Differently from the introspective approach proposed by Nietzsche, the philosophy of transhumanism suggests that through technology humanity can be improved further, and so research on ways to surpass the normal human capabilities should be encouraged and conducted, while still maintaining caution. While the idea of the Übermensch and transhumanism surfaced in between the 19th and 20th centuries, the idea of transcending humanity could be as old as humanity itself. Multiple religions and philosophies such as Plato's idea of sublimation have mentioned the idea of humans transcending beyond their limitations in a span of thousands of years. Many religions since ancient human history have told stories of figures who once were human and transcended into godhood. Also, throughout history, there has been countless stories and legends of people who were capable of much more than the common folk. Some held as heroes of legends, others murdered as potential evildoers, witches. Well, it didn't take much for people to be considered witches with superhuman capabilities, but you get the point. One common example are the tales of the super soldiers, a variation of the superhuman archetype that focuses mostly on the military scope. Throughout history, warriors who performed great acts, perceived as legendary and sometimes nearly impossible, going against all odds, were perceived as some kind of super soldier, with incredible capabilities or even some sort of supernatural power to protect them from their highly likely demise. Not rarely, these tales are greatly exaggerated, but it does show how throughout history, people have believed in the potential of mankind of doing things greater than they imagine. So, with this historical belief of humanity being able to transcend beyond their current limitations, it is only logical that fiction employs multiple times the idea of superhumans. In fiction, in some cases, the supernaturally powered superhuman is one that has been blessed or cursed by some entity beyond human reach, whether it's a good or evil one. Either they directly get these powers from the entity, or they inherit it through birth. And due to that, the blessed or cursed individual achieves greater power than the common people. Their power often reflects aspects of the entity of their origin, and as such, the individuals that receive it tend to not have full control over those powers, and must respect a set of rules should they not want to face consequences. In other cases, these supernatural powers come from some sort of magic or ritual. While not rarely these come from someone tapping into the powers of outer entities, they tend to be more limited and less constricting than the contractual nature of being blessed by a mysterious force. Instead, in these cases, they find these powers either by their own volition or by contracting them from someone else. In the fiction that prefers to stray away from the magic or some new age mumbo-jumbo, in settings where there is no such thing as the supernatural, only cutting-edge technology, one of the most popular means of justifying superhuman capabilities is the advent of cybernetics. Based on real-world technologies, and mixed with some futuristic fantasy, cybernetics can justify pretty much anything, as long as the world building allows for it. A central theme in the cyberpunk genre, but not exclusive to it, cybernetic implants can help people with a wide range of actions, from doing simple daily tasks to becoming literal gods. It all depends on how limited the author wants this technology to be. The stories of cybernetic superhumans tend to involve ethical questions, such as how far humans should go trying to play God, the possible dangers of excessive dependence on technology, the problems of companies valuing profit over human life, and are often associated with traumatic experiences that lead up to how the superhuman cyborg came to gain their implants, often being associated with near-death experiences and not rarely involving some estrangement, based on the idea of phantom limbs and phantom pain. The bioengineered superhumans may coexist with the cybernetically enhanced ones, but instead of depending on implants, as the name suggests, they were altered somehow to achieve greater potential, often with the insertion of some kind of chemical mixture into their bodies or genetic modifications.
It can't control it!
Much like cybernetics, biological alterations in fiction are based on real-world technologies, but with extra fantasy sprinkled into them, and can provide multiple abilities, with their limitations again depending on what the author might wish for. Again, like the previous example, it also involves heavily the themes of ethics, often questioning how far should science go. The theme of traumatic experiences is also common, as in this case more often than not, the experiments that lead to this are conducted by mad scientists or military institutes with little to no concern over the subject's life and mental health. Lastly, sometimes the power of a superhuman originates neither in the supernatural or the technological advancements. They were just born that way? Either being aware of it since they were kids or growing up with it and either practicing it or learning of it. Sometimes superhumans don't need any external factors to justify their capabilities. They just have it inside of them the entire time, and it's more of a matter of reaching to it rather than earning it. Whether they are some kind of demigods who are children of the relationship of some kind of higher entity with a mortal partner and therefore gain their powers hereditarily, come from alien civilizations that really look just like humans, are chosen on some kind of weird cosmic wheel of fortune, or have absolutely no reason at all to be that powerful. Sometimes characters in fiction are superhuman with no convoluted explanations. And it's just that. The superhuman archetype, much like the name itself and the philosophies surrounding it suggest, reflects the wish of humans to be something beyond, the wish of performing incredible acts, and being capable of anything, unbound by the bodily limitations and the boredom of daily life. It relates to some of humanity's most common dreams and wishes, things that an average person probably daydreams about when stuck in a 9-to-5 shift or school, wishing to be far away from that reality. Besides the fantasy of escaping our ordinary lives, the archetype allows for more creative freedom to authors, allowing them to come up with circumstances that would be otherwise impossible in realistic settings, bound by the similarity to the real world, and gives the authors extra wings through their imagination. The superhuman archetype also has a sense of hope to it. Even when put in dystopian settings where it has been perversed by the people in charge, it highlights how human beings believe that humanity has the potential to accomplish incredible things beyond our current limitations, given the time and the right tools to do so. Before ending the video, I must ask a question. Can you guess who are the most powerful superhumans? Marvel superheroes? No. DC superheroes? Nope. Protagonists of cyberpunk fiction? No. Anime protagonists? Also no. Some random dude of some fictional world that you just thought about? No. The strongest superhumans are real. They are
Super soldiers, super fighter, super mafia, super kicker, one hell of a fighter, warrior, super tough, super deadly, super tough soldiers on the mission. A super master of kung fu, a super master of cooking. Ugandan Bruce Lee. We call him Bruce U. He just want to be alone to focus on vengeance. Commando. You're gonna see, this is how we do action in Uganda. This is serious. Everybody in Uganda knows Kung Fu. Uganda!